So, Warcraft Rumble, the game that you see this side, the game that you see over on this side of your screen. It is the new game that Blizzard has brought to the mobile space, and, admittedly, has caused a decent amount of controversy, mostly because it's classic Blizzard, and it feels like a lot of people are losing faith in Blizzard as a traditional gaming company. You know, Blizzard forged its legacy on these absolute classics like Diablo 2, the original Warcraft series, and of course the behemoth that was World of Warcraft that really kind of changed the gaming space forever. But if you look at some of the recent titles that Blizzard has come out with, Overwatch 2, which is basically Overwatch 1, but a DLC. Diablo 4, which was good for 2 weeks, and then everyone got extremely bored of it because Blizzard just put no thought into what people would do once they reached the end game. Diablo Immortal, which is that people were hyped for a Diablo 4 announcement many years ago, and they got the most pay-to-win version of Diablo they could on mobile with the laziest PC port you could have ever asked for. And now you've got Warcraft Rumble, basically Blizzard's Clash Royale with just about the same amount of obnoxious monetization, if not worse. So it's very, very, very clear and very, very easy to understand why people are pissed off with this game. But I want to use this video to talk about the game and talk about it from all sides and kind of assess whether we think it's good or not. You know, and I will be very, very open with you. I've played the shit out of this game, but I am primarily a mobile gamer these days. So this is perfect for me. It's a mobile game and it's a Blizzard IP. I love the Warcraft IP, and so it's a game that I find a lot of enjoyment with. However, I am very, very aware of its flaws. I understand why a lot of people, especially in my age group, which for context, I'm 32. So a lot of people in that Blizzard 28 to 35, probably plus age group are not going to enjoy the fact that a once great IP has been used for what is essentially a Clash Royale knockoff. But I want to balance that discussion. I want to ensure that we're covering the game and its good parts, and then also admitting what is bad about the game. Because frankly, the game has a lot of obnoxious and predatory monetization, and it is one of those games that you're going to be expected to play for months, if not years, to reach the point at which a whale or a pay-to-win player could get in weeks, if not days, depending on how much they spend. So, let's balance that discussion. Let's start with a general overview. What the game is. There is a video that I've done on my channel, which I'll link in the description, which kind of goes into the game in much more detail than I'll go into here. And then we'll talk about kind of like why those bad things maybe aren't so bad, and why some of those bad things just are quite bad. So Warcraft Rumble primarily revolves around this PvE pathway where you play through a campaign across both islands, and essentially you progress as your deck level progresses, and you're kind of gated by the level of your cards. So paying to win allows you to progress further in the PvE campaign. The whole game UI space is centered around PvE. You have this dungeons and raids, which are PvE. This is your deck building. This entire map is PvE, and the PvP sits on one little button, which has its own little UI space here. Paying to win in this game is going to net you higher progression in PvE than it will in PvP. But anyone that tells you that you're only paying to win in PvE in Warcraft Rumble is talking out their ass. By progressing further in the PvE campaign, you get access to higher rewards, more experience for your units, more gold, which means you can unlock more on the grid, more upgrade materials, which is much more likely for you to be able to upgrade your units quickly, and also then find talents for them on the grid, which then makes them much more lethal in a PvP scenario. So essentially, you're getting access to loads more stuff that you just wouldn't actually get access to if you didn't have that kind of level of progression in the PvE campaign. Not only that, if you pay to win a little bit and you're strong enough to take on heroics are where the real progression starts to happen. You unlock a lot of experience for units, and if you can complete all 5 tribes on a heroic level, I will show you. If you can get all of the shields for one heroic level, you get access to, I think you get 500 gold for completing it, which is a lot of gold, by the way. That can buy you a lot of stuff in this game. And for completing one area of heroics, that's 2,500 gold per level. So if you can beat the heroic campaigns, you're going to start to access a huge wealth of experience and gold, which is not only going to net you obviously upgrades, but it'll also give you more likelihood of buying stuff from the grid that you want, as well as buying some of the daily offers, which are often quite expensive, if I'm honest with you. So that's essentially what this game is kind of centered around. When it comes to the pay to win element, and I understand why the audience that generally likes Blizzard's games is upset, because I mentioned in the start, most people that enjoy the Warcraft IP were people that were playing games in the early 2000s, like me. I'm 32. Most people my age do not like Clash Royale pay-to-win mobile games. Most people want to pay for a game that they can then say, I get the full game experience and a level playing field with everybody else, and it's enjoyable. That's not what you get in this game. This game is pay-to-win trash. The game's good, but the actual kind of element of pay-to-win, it's like every other mobile game in the market, and you need to get this through your heads. Blizzard do not care if you like the Warcraft IP. They do not care how you feel about the Warcraft IP. Blizzard wants to make money, and they see that 50% of the global gaming market revenue are taken by mobile gaming, and that they think they want a piece of that pie. What is a game model? Which game company has created a game model that has sucked their user base dry of money and made billions in the process? Supercell. Boom. Let's do a Supercell monetization model in Warcraft Rumble. EA did it with Command & Conquer Rivals. They basically, I mean, again, similar, and this is a hand on heart, Command & Conquer Rivals was a really good game that was spoiled by horrendous monetization. Warcraft Rumble is a really good game that could be spoiled by horrendous monetization, but we'll get to it. Monetization in this game, right? So, first of all, you have gold, which primarily unlocks you everything. So you can obviously buy offers, and you can buy gold, and you can buy Arclight Energy. Arclight Energy, by the way, is what you use to upgrade your rare and uncommon units and whatever down the pathway to epic, maybe legendary, whatever. Gold primarily buys you everything else. You can buy gold outright. You obviously get access to special offers and all that kind of rubbish that you usually get asked to, like the great value special offer, buy it now before it expires in 3 days. Spoiler alert, never buy those. So when it comes to the game, like, you know, the whole economy revolves around gold. This is where it starts to get a bit painful for a lot of people. Not only do you need to level up your units, so there's experience that you need to get for your units, which you get through these tomes here. I've only bought the cheap tomes. That's basically all I can afford. But these tomes, they give you experience that you can choose from for units. And by the way, it's not guaranteed experience for the unit that you want. It's from that family of units. You might not even see the unit that you want in that tome. You also have to get materials to upgrade rarity. And the rarity, if I just bring up Blood Mage, I know, let's bring up this guy, General Dracasath. You have rare, you have epic, and you have uncommon. So I have uncommon General Dracasath right now. And when you have an uncommon or a rare unit, you can then pay to unlock talents. But the talents you also have to buy from the grid for 250 gold. So you have to pay for the experience, you have to pay for the upgrade materials to upgrade them. You have to pay for the talents once you've already upgraded them. You can see that your gold will very quickly get sunk into multiple areas of the game. And then not only that, the leaders, when you do a dungeon with the leader, you get access to an upgrade slot. There are these things that are like bronze and gold and silver on my screen right now. If you don't like a random upgrade slot that you've got, you then have to pay to change the upgrade, and you can re-roll, and it's still not going to be random. That's 50 gold a piece, by the way. So you can sink your gold into multiple areas very quickly on this game. And you can understand why to max an account, it would be in... I mean, it's got to be somewhere near like 100,000 or like 50,000 or something stupid like that. You could sink a plethora of your money into this game to try and max the accounts. But, as I mentioned before, you're primarily then paying for your progression in PvE. The problem is when it comes to PvP, and I'll bring up the rules here. In the baby ranks, everyone is level 1. It's great. It's all skill-based, it's all deck composition-based, and you play on an even playing field versus your opponent. Once you're above the baby ranks, and it's above 3,000, so I've just hit above 3,000, by the way. And if I bring up, I don't know if I can bring up the rank chart. So, the first 4 levels, you are all on a level playing field. And then the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 18 and above. The next 18 levels, you enter into the level balancing PvP mode. Once you're above that, For ranks above 3,000, mini levels will be divided by 3 and then rounded up. For context, you can level your minis to level 20 through experience, and I believe they go up to 30 through talents, and then also, or at least I think they go to level 30 through talents and then upgrades on them. So you get, every time you upgrade their rarity, they get 1 level. Every time you upgrade their talent, they get 1 level. Maybe they go to 26. I don't know what the max level is. I know that 20 is the max level that you can get through experience. Everything else after that is upgrade levels through rarity and talents. Either way, let's say you face me, and I've been playing for a decent amount of time right now, so I've got some pretty good levels. Let's say you face me and my Rend Blackhand deck. Level 16 Harpies, divide by 3, round up, is going to be 5. So my Harpies are level 5. If your Harpies are level 9, that's a 2-level advantage that my Harpies have got on you in PvP. That is significant. That is not insignificant by any stretch of the imagination. A 2-level advantage usually means that you lose the stat check versus the mirror of your opposition. It's not insurmountable. You can beat PvE levels that are 2 levels above you with good placement. But versus a player that you can't manipulate, and especially versus a player that's got even a modicum of skill, 2 levels is going to be very difficult to overcome. God forbid you go against a level 22, and then they're like level 7, and you're level 3. You've got no chance in hell. So, levels do impact this, and your progression through PvE will naturally allow you to progress further. Because the other thing to mention is that these dire mall dungeons, you have to do them repeatedly with a leader on the week that you have access to them. The better that your progression is, the deeper and the higher level you can go in these dungeons. The more levels of this dungeon that you complete on one hero, the better upgrades that you get for these deck slots, like you can see here, right? When you've got a golden deck slot, that adds 3 levels to the unit that you have in that deck slot. So if you play against someone that has got very far in dungeons with the hero, they're going to have a whole load of random levels added to their units by using the correct deck slots. So you're going to find it very difficult. And I have to put it very bluntly. Anyone that tries to say that PvP is not pay to win in this game is talking out their ass. It is pay to win. There is some attempt at level balancing, but Blizzard knows if they level balance this completely, no one's going to pay as much in this game because people want that advantage. There are people that want to pay for that advantage in PvP. And so if they made it level 1 for everyone, then those people would just not get, they wouldn't pay because what's the point in paying? As I said, what's the point in paying to progress in PvE if there is not some end outcome where you're going to have a massive advantage in PvP and take the top spots in the ladders? So yeah, that's my rant over. Ultimately, there's a lot of bullshit in this game when it comes to paying. But I now need to come on to the topic of, is this game actually any good? Yes, annoyingly, and it's just like Command & Conquer Rivals, it is good. The benefit that this game has over Command & Conquer Rivals is that it's got this very expansive single-player campaign, ultimately. And the single-player campaign, for anyone that's played it, is quite enjoyable. It's challenging. Yes, the levels are going to cause issues for you, but ultimately, it's a really, really fun and challenging puzzle game to an extent, where you kind of have to figure out what you've got to do on every single level. And even when you have a level disadvantage, there are ways that you can overcome it by understanding how the level works. And you rinse and repeat until you can get past it. And then, slowly over time, you're playing dungeons, you're doing the quests every day. You can take on that next sort of round. And what is quite nice is that once you've kind of got to the point where you can take one of these levels, you can usually do all of them up to the boss. So you find that you will progress relatively quickly in that sense. And as I said, the PvE in this game is quite fun. The only problem is if you're like me, you'll progress super quickly through the PvE because you've spammed the crap out of the game, and then you'll find you hit a brick wall, and then you can't actually do the PvE until you've met certain level conditions. So that's the only thing to pay attention to. But the core of this game is quite fun and quite good. It's essentially a jazzed up Clash Royale, where You have height differentials. You've got different maps. You've got different ways of areas of spawning your units, etc. It's sort of an adult twist, I guess, on Clash Royale. They've added extra layers. I said in my other video, the adding, the complexity is not always a good thing. The good thing about Clash Royale is it's very simplistic, and that simplicity is quite beautiful. There's a complex simplicity to Clash Royale, whereas Warcraft Rumble is like just a little bit more complex, and that's not always a good thing, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing. And I think the question that you kind of have to answer is, do we think this game is going to be any good? Oh, sorry, do we think it's going to be successful? Well, if Command & Conquer Rivals is anything to go by, absolutely not. A loved franchise, trying to target a similar market to me, load of egregious pay to win in it, and my audience just wasn't interested. However, Command & Conquer Rivals was a bit more gritty, true to the original Command & Conquer themes. It didn't have those bright, vibrant colors that are so classic to those popular Supercell games. And ultimately, they didn't have the single-player campaign. So if you did not have the levels, you just got beaten up by people who did have the levels. At least in this game, there's kind of something that you can do in the app that isn't just getting wailed on by whales. So yes, there is more to sort of like about this game, and there's more reason for it to be successful than something like Command & Conquer Rivals. But it doesn't mean this game is free from its issues, and it doesn't mean this game is not going to completely alienate the people that love the Warcraft IP. But as I've said before, Blizzard don't care about you and your love for the Warcraft IP. You have World of Warcraft in their eyes. They've got Warcraft 3 Reforged, which was all right. They're probably not that bothered about people crying that the Warcraft IP is being used in this way, because for Blizzard, they want to use the Warcraft IP to make money. And this is the kind of game that will make money. I'm sure from some of the people that I've seen that have spent on this game probably already is making a decent amount of money, and it's right now in a closed regional beta. When it goes to the full launch, which I assume will be somewhere around BlizzCon, you're going to get loads of people spending to try and sort of catch up. But if you can get into the beta, I recommend that you do, because there is no reset. So if you're playing a free-to-play grind and you want to grind the sort of the free-to-play side of this game, you won't get reset when global launch comes, and you will have a small advantage in that sense. But there we go. Warcraft Rumble. It's a good game that is tarred by the really egregious and predatory monetization models that we see in lots and lots and lots of mobile games these days. But as I said, Blizzard aren't bothered about your feelings. They aren't bothered about what you think about the Warcraft IP. They're bothered about making money. And if this game is successful, it's addicting, it's fun, and it probably will make money. And so that's the number one metric that Blizzard, I think, really care about when it comes to games like this. Have your say in the comments. Let me know what you think. I've had my rant. I enjoy the game and I intend to keep playing. I don't know whether when I get further up the PvP ladder, I'm going to find it more painful and I'm going to end up quitting, but we'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying the PvE campaign for the primary part. That's actually where I've spent most of my time. I probably spent 10% PvP, if less, 95%, 90% on PvE, doing the heroics, doing the regular campaign, doing the dungeons, etc. And that has just been me versus the computer, and there is some element of testing your skill there, so it is what it is. The last thing I will say is that when they have these little PvP seasons, one of the little modifiers that is there is that everyone's units are level 1. So they do sometimes introduce modifiers that level the playing field completely. So even if you've paid to win, there'll be like a 2-week period where you cannot use your levels at all. It's worth noting that does exist. And they probably will rotate that in quite frequently, I imagine, to make the free-to-play players happy. So there you go. Right, enjoy, guys, and I will see you soon.